do to exhibit at AAHKS, like there's 1,000,001 things at every meeting. Hopefully this is something that just lets you think through the way you and your booth staff are going to be talking to the attendees and a way to make that even more valuable. And today we've got Dr. Lucian Warth. He's the chair of the Industry Relations Committee, and he's going to be talking a little bit about that. I'm Jeff Mitchell, Director of Marketing or Corporate Relations for AAHKS, and Lauren Miller, who's our trade show coordinator. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Warth to start talking about learning objectives.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Jeff. So just for those involved, our industry partners that are on the line, the Industry Relations Committee was kind of convened or was created several years ago, and the charge of the committee really is to advocate for AAHKS within industry and then also for industry within AAHKS. Our industry partners are crucial to our success in terms of being fiscally solvent, and I think we provide a value to you in the sense that we're a meeting where many people who use your product are going to come, so it's high bang for your buck, it's high value. A couple years ago, probably 3 years ago, we started this concept of learning objectives. We started and switched from just having a kind of an industry area to more of a learning center. And our goal was, to provide a little bit more value in terms of actual learning, in terms of science, in terms of, why you guys are providing the products you are, what kind of clinical problems are out there, and how your solutions are gonna benefit our patients, but in a more scientifically driven manner. And so the learning objectives, the purpose was really to highlight your unique offerings and to impact those and the impact of those offerings on the educational aspects of your exhibit. So it's if you've created a new cup to solve a problem, if you just came out with a line of MDM, your clinical problem is to treat instability. And so, having an intelligent ability to discuss that with attendees as they walk through the booths, I think is helpful in order to really kind of force some driven involvement as opposed to just, a surgeon walking around the booths. What we really want is for you guys to have more focused conversations, and we want surgeons that are going to go to your booth with specific questions about your product, and that will hopefully really drive up some of the how worthwhile it is for both you guys and for our surgeons. So we really want to facilitate a meaningful discussion between AAHKS members as they go through your booths and your team. And in order to do that, we've asked each of the companies to come up with learning objectives, minimum of 1, maximum of 3, and really they highlight, what your company has to offer in a semi-scientific way. And then, we're going to publish these just like we have in years past, and we really ask our attendees to take a look at them, and if they see something that's a clinical problem in their, in their domain, in their patients, then they can, in a more focused way, go and ask you specific questions about how your offering may fix their clinical problem. We go to the next slide, please, Lauren. Go back one. So we had some examples of reasonably well done learning objectives in the last couple of years. They're on the website. They kind of give you a feel of how we're looking for the learning objectives to flow and kind of what they're all about. So understanding how to write a good learning objective, and the entire committee is willing to help you guys, so once the first round comes through, and we've got some modified dates in terms of when we're asking that they get done and get sent into us, we're happy to work with you one-on-one in order to try to make sure that we're seeing what we want to see out of the learning objectives, but also you guys are going to be getting value out of these as opposed to just doing more busy work. Go ahead to the next slide, Lauren. All right, so here's a learning objective just from one of the companies last year that's on our website as an example, and it says, through discussion and review of published literature, we will highlight the association between aseptic loosening and cementing onto a damp and fatty bone bed. Participants will have the opportunity to demo instrumentation, which dries and cleans the bone, leading to increased cement penetration and improved bone cement interface strength. So obviously here the clinical problem is aseptic loosening due to breakdown of the bony interface. And so, having literature which, says, total knee replacement revisions over the course of the next, decade are expected to rise 10% or 9% per year. Again, I mean, you're educating our surgeons intelligently on what problem, this company is trying to solve. And so that's kind of where, it doesn't have to be specifically on, this product, but it needs to be something at least along the lines of hopefully what clinical problem this product is meant to solve. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. But certainly I think that we can work together to really make these learning objectives work on both ends. Let's go ahead to the next slide.
Hi everyone, this is Lauren Miller, part of the trade show team. On this slide, you will see our revised timeline for the learning objectives. We have extended the timeline to August 1st. This is the initial submission deadline for your learning objectives, and we will discuss how to submit on the next slide. And then the final deadline for all revisions will be August 19th. You may receive edits from the IRC and myself between these two dates. And then the final August 19th date is when all learning objectives will be finalized. And then on the next slide, this explains how to submit your learning objectives. You can go to meetings.AAHKS.org. You'll then click on Exhibitor Central and then Submit Learning Objectives. That will bring you to the page screenshotted here on the right. And if you scroll down to the bottom of that page, you'll find a link to submit your 1 to 3 learning objectives. So now you may be asking, where will these learning objectives be found while on site at the annual meeting? So we will print your company's learning objectives in our Learning Center exhibit hall directory. A screenshot of that is found on the right. So that's a physical piece that meeting attendees will receive. They will also be found on our website and in our mobile app, which will be helpful for attendees to reference your learning objectives on site. And then they will also be printed on a 22 by 28 sign, which will be displayed in your booth at the annual meeting on the show floor. So those are 3 spots that attendees will be able to reference your learning objectives. New this year, we are implementing a learning objective pocket guide. This is a half-sheet flyer, which AAHKS is going to print and distribute to your booth for your booth staff to reference while on site. As you can see from the screenshot, it will explain what learning objectives are, how to implement them in your booth, where they can be found, and then on the right side of the pocket guide, we will print your company logo and then your 1 to 3 learning objectives. We encourage your booth staff to have this pocket guide handy when having conversations with attendees so they can speak to your learning objectives while on site.
And so the next steps, basically we need you to submit your learning objectives. The IRC, the committee, divides up the learning objectives and reviews them, and Lauren manages that process. They'll make edits and suggestions, and then Lauren will send them back to you for final approval or final editing. We hope that your entire booth staff becomes familiar with your company's learning objectives, and that's a way that, they can use to discuss meaningfully your products and services with the annual meeting attendees. And we hope that you will complete the pocket guide and distribute that throughout your booth at the annual meeting and to your booth staff and use it as a resource. Now, but we're going to be taking questions, so please use the chat function to chat in questions. If anybody has them, now would be the time to do that. And as Dr. Worth said, the committee is here to help you. If you have not done your learning objectives yet, or if you are having trouble developing them or figuring them out, the committee is happy to work with you. Just please get in touch with me, get in touch with Lauren, and we're happy to help make that connection and introduction so that this can be a good experience for everyone.
Yep, I would just like to reiterate, this is Worth again. I just would like to reiterate, we're definitely happy to help. You know, we're very supportive of these learning objectives, and we're supportive of you guys, you know, putting some effort into them, and that's why we're willing to, you know, I'm willing to do it myself. We've got several surgeon members of the committee that are willing to do it. You know, it would also, I just wanted to, another point of emphasis is making sure that the members of your teams who are going to be manning the booths, certainly if there's a way, you know, within your company to ensure that the people that are going to be there, you know, the boots on the ground are aware of these learning objectives and at least generally have a sense of what they're about, you know, so that we can really drive some focused conversation, which will help both ends.
All right. Well, I'm not seeing any messages coming in. Please feel like you can reach out to me or Lauren after the meeting ends today. And as I said, we're happy to connect you with a surgeon member if you have any questions. So thanks very much for joining us today. We finished a little bit ahead of schedule, and we really hope that you know, this can be a way to help you have a more valuable booth experience at AAHKS. So thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Warth, for joining us today.
Happy to help. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Back to the OR.